So today's episode, I already know I'm going to say some things that you're not going to agree with. And then you're going to comment back. And I'm not going to agree with your comment. And we are just going to have to keep it pushing from there. Because today's episode, we are talking about Cuties. The Netflix show Cuties that just aired. We're talking about it today's episode. Stay tuned. So originally I wasn't going to watch Cuties. It wasn't my cup of tea. I saw the preview and the only thing I got from it was like little girls twerking in crop tops and tight spandex shorts and just dancing all provocatively. And it wasn't my cup of tea from the rip. Like, I just knew that. I was like, oh no, I'm not watching this. And I saw the cancel Netflix trends. Everybody was like, oh, I'm gonna cancel Netflix. And I wasn't on that type time, but I was just like, I'm not watching this show. I don't get the point of this movie. Like, I didn't get it. It wasn't until I saw a comment that my cousin posted, and I'm not gonna put her information on here, but I just want to get to like what she wrote in the comment that made me want to go and watch this to have a better understanding for myself. So, in my cousin's post, she basically kind of gave her summary and thoughts after watching the movie. And that's what really prompted me again to go and see for myself. Now, in her post, she wrote a lot. It's a lot. But I read all of it, but I'm not going to go through it all. I'm going to just summarize her post for you guys. The first thing touching on was the absence of her father, just some of these traditions, and also just the idea that we have our young children, like our children, taking on parent responsibilities as far as being the oldest sibling and being the caretaker. Like, and this is not just in France or whatever. We see this here in America. There are young kids that are maybe in high school, middle school, and their parents are unavailable and they assume the responsibility of a mother, of a father, and are taking care of their younger siblings. Another point that my cousin brought up was that the main character is a school age girl, and just like any young girl, she is looking to find her friend. She's looking to find where she fits in. And unfortunately, this main character befriends a group of mean girls that are acting way above their age. They wear provocative clothes. They are doing provocative things. And this is the group that Amy has been drawn to and that she's looking to fit into. Amy was not twerking originally. She wasn't doing all these things. She saw this from her peers, these specific group of girls, and she started to want to be a part of their group. So that was another part that kind of triggered me because, again, we can like try to dissociate stuff like, oh, that's in another country with other traditions, but this is kids in America go through this, trying to find their friend groups. The part that she talks about is the influence of social media. Amy is a young girl that she steals a cell phone, and now she's exposed to the internet. She's exposed to music videos. She's exposed to twerking. She's exposed to dancing. She's being exposed to things that she has no business watching or just no business trying to mimic. And when you think about kids today, a lot of our kids have access to the internet. And then if you put on top of the fact of a parent that is not available to monitor her child or have an understanding of what they're even into, that creates its whole whirlwind of problems, which is what we're watching play out with the main character. She's being raised by the internet, so to speak, and that is the product. The product is her twerking. The product is her dressing a certain way. That is essentially what happens when you let the internet raise your child. And I also want to highlight that the girls that Amy is starting to hang out with, the movie, like, it also kind of alluded to the fact that these girls also did not have parents that were available. Like, one of the girls Amy really clicked up with, she mentioned that her parents don't pay attention to her. They don't take an interest in her. And she is kind of using this in a way, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she's using this as a way to get their attention and to be noticed by her parents. Not in the sense that this is essentially something that she said she liked to dance, but it was kind of like a cry out for help. I don't think in any way, my personal opinion is not Amy's a bad girl. I don't think personally it's Amy's traditions and she's growing up in a strict household. No, I think regardless of where this movie takes place, regardless of the religion, regardless of the socioeconomic status, regardless of all these factors, anybody's child can be an Amy. And this is where the thing comes in, is that yeah, this takes place in France, but again, Amy could be anybody's child. Like, this is very applicable to American children. This is applicable to any young girl growing up in this modern day era that we're in. You have young kids who are not essentially being, and I'm not a parent, so I don't want to come off really like judgmental, but in a certain sense, they're not being parented, in my opinion. They have access to Cardi B music videos. They have access to Meg Thee Stallion videos. They have access to all of this content that they should not have access to. They have access to Love and Hip Hop. They have access to all of that. And if you're an 11-year-old and you're still trying to figure yourself out as far as who you are, what your role in society is, how you view the world, how the world should view you, and you have that content and you're using it to make a decision, are you going to make the best decision for yourself? I want to clarify like my comment around not parenting, because there are, and I'm speaking specifically for like African American women, there are some single mothers or single fathers who want to be in their child's life. They want to be constantly involved. They want to go to parent teacher conference. They want to be going to the sporting events. They want to do that stuff. But sometimes they're faced with a decision. I have to work. I have to have 3 jobs so I can provide a roof over my child's head. So sometimes they have to make the decision, have a roof over their head or be there for their parent teacher conference. Like, sometimes that's the critical decision that I feel like our community has to make. And then that goes back to society as to why y'all are paying people like unlivable wages and people have to work 3, 4, 5 jobs. Places like Walmart that will keep you part-time so that you can't even get benefits. But that's a whole nother episode. Overall, I would recommend a mother, a father, anybody that have young daughters and their families, like, I would encourage anybody to watch this movie. And trust me, it's hard to stomach watching 11-year-old girls twerking with their butts hanging out and crop tops. Like, it's hard to watch, but I think the message and what you could take away from it is very, very important. We also have to make sure that we're not letting social media raise our children. We have to manage and make sure we're overseeing the content that they're taking. We have to make sure that we know what's going on in their lives. We have to be present in that way. Another thing too is we have to make sure that we know who our kids are friends with. We got to make sure we know their circles. Amy was hanging out with these girls day in and day out, and not one time did mom meet friends. Not one time did she go to the school. Like, we have to make sure that we know who is influencing our kids. And I'm not a parent, so I know y'all probably, you don't know much, like, you don't know how hard it is, and I really don't. But I would say, as I think of myself as a parent, I want to make sure that I'm involved in my child's life as much as I can be, especially at their age, because they are so impressionable. And the people that they hang out with, the videos they watch, or the conversations they have, all of that shapes their development into who they are going to become. And we see that with Amy. We really, really do, because Amy was not that girl. And none of them are. Nobody ever starts off as that girl. But in all honesty, I know I say this in every episode, but I honestly really do want to know what you guys think about this movie. If you haven't seen it yet, and even after watching this video you're like, I'm still not gonna watch it, comment below, let me know why. If you've seen it already, definitely comment and let me know what you think. Like, what did you take away from it? Did you see some of the things that I talked about, or did you get something totally different? And always be respectful, y'all. Like, don't be like bashing each other or throwing shade. Like, we can really have a deep conversation. We can really learn some things. So let's take advantage of that opportunity. So no shade, no negativity, no disrespect at all, because I will be going through and deleting negative comments. So please be respectful to one another in these comments. Don't be acting crazy. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. I really wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm happy that I did, and I hope that this can inspire you to have more conversations in your circles. But thank you.